let's finish off and put this Chelsea game behind us and go and look how the internet did react to the game. Starting off with Cuti Romero showing a clear show of support to the manager. Do you not have that on there? There we go. With Cuti Romero showing a clear show of support for the manager. He retweeted Ange Postecoglou quote saying, "You have to go through some tough times when you're rebuilding something. It's a necessary part of the process."
Well, at least Romero seems on side.
I mean, that's what we've been saying. Like Romero and Van de Ven seem like the only ones like properly on side at the moment.
It wasn't the case under Conte, was it, for Romero?
No, it wasn't the case. No, it wasn't.
I guess that's a difference there.
It is a difference. It's just saying the rest of the team are showing the same traits that they had under Conte.
Yeah, I don't know what to put it down to. Is it just because they're a young team? They just need that. I don't know. It's difficult. But
too emotional.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But at the moment, it seems as though when things recently anyway, when things are going against us, it's like we're crumbling at the moment.
Yeah, but you have seen teams like, maybe not this bad, but you said before about the Arteta, Klopp, and Pep. Like first season they had struggles, but they improved towards the end of the season. I don't think that was right under Arteta. Maybe under Klopp and Pep.
Under Arteta, that season just before when they finished 8th. Well, I would say his first 2 seasons, right? First season, he won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
The second season, then they finished 8th again. They won their last 5 games of the season.
Right.
And then, obviously, they went on to go challenge for top 4, then challenge for the title. So they've always ended the season. Well, I wouldn't say always. When they started ending seasons badly. But I'm saying before that, they did end seasons quite well.
When was that period where they lost like 8 games in a row?
That was like December time.
Right. Give me something.
Huh?
Give me something. Come on. Just give me something. Football AK says we're 6 points and plus 7 goal difference ahead of where we were last season at this point, despite losing Harry Kane and suffering from a freak number of injuries. Excellent start to the rebuild. Don't let a couple of bad results deceive you. Context is important, which I agree to a certain extent. But when you see a team regressing throughout a season, it's got to ring alarm bells, because everyone kept saying once this team gets back together, once the first 11 get back together, you'll see this cohesion come back. But in fact, it's got worse.
Yeah, that's the context that he's missing, from what a lot of people are saying. And I think he makes some good points, and I think it's not all doom and gloom, and it's fine. It's like not a terrible position that we are. If we do end up finishing 5th, I wouldn't say it's an amazing season, but it's not a bad season. It's probably, I think we predicted 5th before the season. That's like something probably we expected would have finished, and that's like a good building block. But it's just the way that the season's panned out, how good we were at the start, the fact that we seem to be regressing very sharply near the end of the season, and the players don't seem to be very receptive to what the manager's saying, considering some of the performances and how lackluster we've been on the ball. Those are the biggest concerns at the moment, and I just hope that doesn't seep into next season.
Yeah, exactly. And as well, like people always go on about like, oh, Ange has struggles at the start wherever he goes. But at Celtic, yes, he had massive troubles in the first half of the season, but he completely rectified them second half of the season. Didn't they go on and end up winning the league that year?
Yeah, they did.
Exactly. So as much as they had set-piece troubles, they kind of, in terms of the way that they like to play their game, the way Ange likes to play his game, he drummed that into them by the end of the season, and they were firing on all cylinders. And then next year was obviously another level to that. But look, Ange, no matter what anyone says, Ange deserves time, and he deserves time to turn this around. But there is definitely red flags in there, 100%. Trevor Bissouma, no, but seriously, what are they doing? And this is Højbjerg and Sonny getting in the mix-up for the Jackson goal.
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Why do we always embarrass ourselves at Stamford Bridge? I remember that own goal from Trippier, and when he passed it into his own net, losing the league there. Like, it was always a bloody embarrassment at Stamford Bridge. We just pull our pants down every time we go there.
I know, and I said it before, but when you look at that Chelsea lineup, I've never seen a worse Chelsea lineup before, and we still embarrass ourselves.
There's two grounds. That ground, and I hate these grounds, and that and the Emirates when you got the whole fan base on top of it, and they'll try and Tottenham get battered. Oh, I hate like being there and those kind of. I'm lucky I wasn't there yesterday, but I was listening to it, and I was like, oh god, I'm so happy I'm not there at the moment.
And I stuck it out right till the end. You know what? Yeah, yesterday I was the first person in the away end and the last person out. They had to chuck me out because we were doing our post-match review. Literally, the first in and last out. That's how much I had to endure yesterday.
Oh, bloody hell.
Spurs watch Tottenham set pieces compared to the rest of the league, and look where we are on that graph.
I think it's from the extra inch this has been made, I think, yeah. Look at that. One of the lowest created and one of the worst for amount we've conceded. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
We are not good from set pieces, guys. We are not good.
It's just who we are, mate.
And look at the top as well. This is just an emblematic, like Arsenal and City near the top.
Yeah.
And that's just emblematic of where you have to be at these things.
Man City have conceded, I think, 2 goals from set pieces this season. Mad.
I think it is a sign of the top team because set pieces look, I understand. I think the beginning of the process, set pieces probably isn't the most important thing at that stage because I would say who you are as a team and how you set yourself up.
Just who we are, mate.
I do think those things are more important. But once you want to be a top team, set pieces is a variance you can't allow to go against you because it's too much of a variance when you can be on top of a game, you can be in control, and then it just needs one set piece against you, and that can all swing, and you can't allow that to happen. So I do think at the moment it isn't that, in my opinion, as much as it's costing us. I actually agree with Ange that it's not our biggest priority, but I also can't deny it is a massive problem. And when we do become a top team, this is something that, unless we sort out, we will never become a top team.
Yeah, I mean, but what he's alluding to is that it's not a problem. And
he didn't say that. He said it's not a priority.
It's not a priority. I just don't care, mate. That's what he keeps saying.
Well, he didn't say that about set pieces. He said that about gamesmanship.
He said it about both. And I even clipped it up on the channel and put it up as a short. But I think when you're looking at set pieces and Ange's history with set pieces, like you can get away with it when you're Celtic manager in a league where you're miles better than everyone else, but you're not going to get away with it as a Tottenham manager in the Premier League. Like teams are just too good, and that's just the reality. THFC Cho says, it really irks me that the captaincy discourse even exists at all our focal point of the Son criticism. Maybe it was because we were accustomed to Lloris being captain for nearly a decade, but I don't know why captaincy has become such a hot topic to question. Son's form has been poor, but you don't base captain qualities off that. And I agree with that. I mean, the whole captain debate at the moment, Son shouldn't be captain, Son shouldn't be this, Son shouldn't be this. You know what I mean? Like, stupid. Romero is a leader on the pitch, regardless of the armband or not. It's irrelevant who's the captain at that point when you're talking about Romero. Son has been a great leader this season, in my opinion. I think Son has had a good season as well, and I think all this hate coming towards Son at the moment, I think is completely unwarranted. Yeah, he's put in a few bad performances. Fine. But who's putting good performances in at the moment? Like, at the moment, he's got no service whatsoever. He's trying to do things on his own, and he's performing poorly, but he can't do things on his own every single game.
Agreed. I don't think the captaincy is even a question for me, so I don't understand why people are bringing it up. I just feel like they just see Son having a bad game and they think, they got to take the captaincy off him because Romero's playing well. I mean, it's not about who's playing well, who's not. It's about who the dressing room respects, who they listen to. And I think they're still very receptive to Son. And yes, we're not playing well at the moment, but I don't think it's anything to do with Son having the armband.
Yeah. But talking about the captaincy, actually, like, I completely agree that Son and Romero should be there. But I mean, do you think it was a bit too soon to give Madison that kind of leadership in the dressing room, like first signing straight away vice captain?
I always feel like usually yes, I would say yeah. To be honest, I don't like when teams do that because I feel like
you got to earn it, right?
Yeah, you got to earn it. You got to be in the dressing room. You've got to earn the respect of the group. You can't just come in as a new player and then it's almost like you're gifting him that respect. It's like you're demanding the respect rather than earning it, which I never really like. Not to say that that's what Madison's doing. I'm sure because Ange didn't just give it to him on his first day, did he? He gave it to him after a few weeks of having
After
him in
the
the
pre-season,
team,
yeah.
After pre-season, so Ange must have seen something. So I'm not going to like sit here and say Ange just did it on a whim. But me personally, I don't usually like when new players get those captain's armband.
Yeah, and I'm not, as much as I love Madison, I know what qualities that he has got. For a vice captain, I don't see him kind of standing up for the team at the moment. I'm not just talking about poor performances, but I'm talking about mentality on the football pitch as well. I've seen his head drop in the last couple of games, and you can't let that happen if you're a vice captain. I think like Sonny, he's not performing well, but I still see him like trying to G up his teammates and, you know, going over to the away end and you know, trying to have that cohesion with the team and the fans again. Romero is standing up for the team week in, week out. I can't say I can say the same for Madison at the moment. Next up is Cho again saying, reminder that he signed an extension when the club had zero direction and appointed Nuno. Father Time remains undefeated, so just enjoy the last 2 years before it's gone forever. And yeah, people do forget that how loyal Son has been for us.
Yeah, and especially he signed a contract at a time that Kane wanted to leave and was pushing to leave. So I think loyalty should go both ways when it comes to players. But obviously, he's going through a bad period, but people act as if, like, you know, he's been like this the whole season and he's finished and rubbish when he's our highest goal scorer, highest assister, one of the highest goal contributions in the whole Premier League. So people got to get some perspective.
Yeah, put some respect on his name. This is Heung-min Son we're talking about. Invert the Wings says, but certain people on Twitter were telling me that Son at the number 9 was the issue. And I think both of us did agree when people were saying that, didn't we? Saying Son at number 9 is not the issue here. Mm-hmm. The issue is that he's not getting fed any sort of chances on a consistent basis. It's not like Son was at the number 9 and he was missing chance after chance. Yeah, maybe his back to goal play could get a bit better and maybe bringing other players into play could have been a bit better. But he was getting little, next to nothing, no service whatsoever.
Yeah, you give Son the chances, he's going to bury them more often than not. And the problem wasn't that, you know, I don't think the problem why he wasn't maybe being as effective is because he can't play the number 9. I think at the moment there's a team structural issue, which is not creating the chances for him that it should be. And that was a big problem. And when he's not getting the chances, then he can be a bit of a problem in the number 9 because he's not the strongest hold-up play and stuff like that. But if he's playing in the number 9, you're getting him chances, he will score.
Yeah. Spurs Web tweeted out saying, wheeling out Mickey van der Ven for a media interview. Where's the captain? And there was a quote retweet from Simon Yemeni, and he says, moan when he talks, moan when he doesn't. My mental's sky rocketed when I stopped following these accounts. Highly recommend it. And I do kind of agree with that because maybe not this count in specific because I haven't followed exactly what they've been saying throughout the season, but I do see a narrative on Twitter. It's like, oh, you're rolling out Heung-min Son again, like for these interviews, and then when they don't roll out Heung-min Son, they're like, where's Heung-min Son? Where's the captain? Why is the captain not speaking to us?
Yeah,
it's just
what a
like
stupid tweet from the Spurs web to put out. Oh, okay, Van der Ven was the one this time. Son's, how many times has Son done an interview?
he does it every game, pretty much.
Bloody game, and then you're criticising because one game he didn't do it. Like, come get a grip, guys. Like, seriously.
It's just like you're always trying to find someone to blame, like unwarranted as well. Like, why can't you just focus on the actual problems on the pitch that is happening instead of these stupid little things that they like to complain about?
That's just trying to cause some sort of toxicity. It's like, I want to add some toxicity to this platform by putting out a tweet like that. It's so stupid.
That's Twitter in a nutshell, though, isn't it? Spurs Connect say it's time to have an uncomfortable conversation about Heung-min Son, and then COYS Daniel retweeted that saying 31 matches, 25 goals and assists, leads both assists and goals, 17 big chances made, the most in our team, 57 chances created, including 3 today, which was yesterday, the most in our team, and second overall in chance creation in the team. Yeah, surely uncomfortable conversations. So I think Sonny has been, for the most part, brilliant all season.
He's been by far our best attacker.
Yeah, by far.
By far. By at least double.
I mean, he's in the running for player of the season for us. When you've got to talk about player of the season, it's between him, Mickey, and Kuti.
There was a point where he was in the running for player of the year in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Before he dropped off. So Like this whole uncomfortable. I don't understand. People see just because he's 31, he has a few bad games. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, he's finished. That's
But we had this whole thing last year as well. The whole thing crept up, and then suddenly he starts performing again. It's like, oh, Son is the best thing since sliced bread. What an elite player, world-class player. In a few bad games, they're all willing to stab him in the back again.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Jesse Payneman, this is funny. Spurs in the final third.
Someone bloody shoot! Oh God!
It's so accurate though, isn't it?
Literally, this is literally what it's like. Oh, it's so frustrating.
What's this one from Neil Gardner saying? It feels like I'm talking to that one guy in the mental hospital who believes that he's Batman, but I'll respond to this like a normal human being. Ange has taken Spurs straight from their worst league finish in 13 years to directly in contention for a top 4 spot with no turnover. Arteta on the same end finished 8th twice and 5th once before finally breaking the top 4 in his fourth season. This isn't a comparison, it's a testament to the fact that projects take time, and Ange is absolutely on the right track. Everyone knows this. If only football Twitter wasn't about perpetuating disingenuous narratives and perpetually speaking for gotchas.
Yeah, I think he makes good points, and I think it's true that the fact that Ange has in his first year is going to get us hopefully to top 5, and the football has had to change the football philosophy, the way of playing, completely switching it up, and still getting us to that stage. And he's got to find out a lot about his players, all that kind of stuff. That's all fine and that's all true, and I get and I think you're absolutely right, and he deserves the time, and I think we are on the right track. Hopefully, it's just concerning how in recent weeks we are regressing, and in recent weeks we've gotten players back who should all be bought into this way of playing, and for one reason or other, they're consistently putting in these really lackluster, painfully average or below average, getting spanked on the road.
Well below average,
and we're getting battered, and we're getting found out away from home, and this is a big concern for me. The fact that these players seem to be giving up. They should be motivated to get into that top 4. They should be motivated to be playing Champions League, and at the moment they've completely dropped the ball. They've completely lost their way, and the biggest problem as well, a big problem as well, is this happened at a very good time for us. It happened at a time where we were just beat Villa away, and we put ourselves in the driving seat, and we've completely shat the bed. And why has that happened? This isn't about inconsistent performances. This is about us consistently not creating chances and looking really, really lackluster in the last few weeks. And that is as we've gotten our players back, and as they're gaining more fitness, not less.
Yeah. COYS Daniel saying Sonny since 2024, which he missed the whole month worth of games for the Asia Cup. Son 8 goals and assists, missed 5 games. Johnson 7, Madison 3, Kulusevski 2, Richarlison 4, and he missed 2 games. So Sonny is our best attacker.
I think that should go without saying.
Yeah, of course it should. Kane from the lane, players who have tried long shots in games.
In this game.
Oh, in this game. Emerson, Højbjerg, Van der Ven, Bentancur. Players who didn't shoot. It's Heung-min Son.
You know what? I was saying this in the watch room. That's something that really pissed me off. Kulusevski had a good chance to shoot a few times from 25 yards, decided to pass it off. Porro found himself a really good position in space. Perfect position for him to get a shot off. Decides to pass. Son as well. A few times had himself in the perfect position that he likes. Just from that inside channel of the left side, cut inside to shoot, he decides to pass. Yet, when Van der Ven, Bentancur are getting in these positions, they're shooting with no backlift. I'm like, what is the decision making? That was something that really pissed me off. Why these were the players that were shooting, and then we had good players who could actually take long shots, and they weren't shooting.
To be fair, Van der Ven and Emerson have both scored bangers this season.
Yeah, I know. still annoyed.
No, I get your point. I get your point completely. And it's just like, we've been calling this for so long. Like, Porro's been doing it on a consistent basis, at least trying stuff throughout the season. But Sonny and particularly Sonny and Madison, haven't been trying it throughout the season on a consistent basis. And I think it's something that we've mentioned time and time again.
Yeah.
Richarlison season says the gaffer has snapped and don't blame him. And yeah, it was the first time actually I've ever seen Ange going absolutely ballistic on the sidelines, and he was shouting at everyone yesterday, wasn't he? And
could you see it in the stadium?
Yeah, I could see it in the stadium, and I was like, wow, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, he was absolutely furious. Is that is that a manager at the end of his tether?
I mean, from what he's seeing, I don't blame him because they're not implementing the instructions that he's deploying, and we know that for a fact because they're not implementing any instruction. And it seems as though they've been veering away from his philosophy ever since those initial 10 games because we've been getting less and less kind of creative and less brave throughout the season as it's gone on.
But why are they getting less receptive to him though? That's what it's puzzling to me.
Yeah, I mean, your guess is good. I mean, look, it's all going to become apparent, and by the early stages of next season, I really think we'll know where we're at with this squad and this manager, and where they're at with the manager. Let's change it on to something positive now, because Mikey Moore was on the bench yesterday. Rising Ballers did a tweet saying in January 21, saying 16-year-old Tottenham and England forward Mikey Moore is a name you're going to be hearing a lot more about this year. He bagged 8 goals plus 4 assists in 7 games for the under-18s. Had some interest last summer, but Spurs tied him down. They've got a baller on their hands. And look at some of these goals from Mikey Moore in the under-18s. I mean, he made the under-18s look way too easy for him. The amount of goal contributions, goals and assists he was getting in this team. And he finally got himself, well, not finally, I mean, he got himself in the squad. We heard that he was part of the first team in the last 2 weeks. We heard Ange talk about him saying he's not looking out of place being in the training with the first team. He's kind of already jumped the players that have just won the under-21 league, which is mad to think about.
What do you think if you're like Jamie Donnelly?
Yeah, that's what I was.
What do you think about that?
I was having that conversation with a lot of players, a lot of fans in the away end yesterday, being like, if you're Jamie Donnelly, if you're Iago Santiago, if you're Juton, Sotbell, Will Lancashire, all these players that are smashing it for the under-21s, and then Mikey Moore just comes out of the under-18s, doesn't even play an under-21 game, and he's already in a first-team squad. Even. Yeah, Dane Scarlett as well. It's got to be gutting for them.
You'd think so, albeit I don't know if Ange, had him there with intention of playing him or just that experience. I don't know.
But why not give the experience to these players as well?
They did. Donnelly's been on the bench. Scarlett's been on the bench. Santiago as well. So he could argue he's treating them all the same, I guess, at this point.
But Mikey Moore's 16.
Yeah. He is.
He's 16 years of age. And you're seeing players from around, obviously Messi is Messi, but you had Wayne Rooney come into the Premier League at 16, what he did on his debut, and what he went on to do. Lamine Yamal, what he's doing in Barcelona. They've got a right centre-back as well, who's 17 or something at the moment.
Well, I hope next season all these guys get a chance in the Europa League.
But that's what I was saying last night in the away end as well. It's like, when you're seeing these players put in performances like they're doing, why not just stick Mikey Moore on? And at least he'll show 100% passion for the bag and just see what he's got.
I would have liked it.
I would have put him on ahead of Brian Hill.
100%. At least one of them has a future at this club, hopefully.
Yeah, but big up to Mikey Moore, by the way, for making that team yesterday, or making the subs bench yesterday. It must have been an amazing experience for him. 16 years old to be on the bench at Stamford Bridge. It's just a shame that whatever happened on that pitch happened on that pitch, but it was an amazing experience for him, I'm sure. But THFC RT says Arteta's first season, Spurs fans would have had him sacked by November, but they stuck by him and gave him players who can play a system. Maybe we should try the same. And I completely agree in terms of
and would not have lasted that set of results.
Even in his first December.
I mean, Nuno lasted better results than that.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
Nuno got sacked for having better results than this.
But Nuno, we never saw any evidence on the pitch, even when we were winning. At least Ange, we saw evidence.
You really think this fan base would be able to tolerate a loss?
I mean, the Arsenal fan base couldn't take it, could they? They're all hounding out Ange out.
Do you reckon Levy could
probably not, to be fair. Probably not.
I don't think he would.
Probably not.
I don't think he would.
But even if we did go through this in the last couple of months, I would still say, you got to stick with it. You got to stick with it, just because we've seen evidence in the first half of the season, or that what Ange football can bring us, right? So I just feel like he needs more windows to get these players in. He needs more windows to imprint his philosophy more. But like we keep saying, the way that these players are kind of not receptive to him, seem to be lacking belief at the moment. That's the most worrying thing. Hotspur Central says, perhaps I've gone loopy, but 12 months time, I think things will be a whole lot different, and we'll be laughing at our current selves, thoughts. Perhaps I'll be wrong, but we shall see. And that's kind of where I hope my head's at the moment as well. Like, I keep trying to think, like, in 12 months' time, is it really going to be that different? I mean, I've got to believe that it will be.
Yeah, I think that's what we got to hope the project leads to. You know, we have a good summer. We get to weed out who we believe is the future here and who doesn't. And all of us, then he's going to have no excuses, hopefully, once we get that all sorted and we can really push on.
Yeah. Max Rushton says, Ange's big mistake was to do his season the wrong way round. If they'd started badly and they won 8 of their last 10, it'd be fine. If anything, he started too well, Clive. It always feels like they'll never win again. It also feels like they'll never win again. But, I mean, that's not Ange's biggest mistake. Like, it's not like he chose, you know what, we're going to start really well and then end the season really badly. It's just not a mistake on Ange because it worked out that way. It's a mistake on Ange that the players are lacking belief. That's the mistake on Ange.
100%. And as well, I think the sign of a team getting to grips with your way of playing is when at the end of the season, the more time they've had with you, that's when they're getting more consistent. That's what the trajectory should be. It shouldn't be they're consistent at the start and then they lose their way. It should be they're figuring out how you play, and then the more time they have with you, they start to get a bit more consistency. I'm not going to be sitting here demanding consistency and a perfect performance, but I'm saying we're seeing some of our worst football at this point. We shouldn't be seeing our worst point of the season at this point.
With the majority of our first team in.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about we're showing inconsistency. I expect inconsistency. I'm worried that this is our worst point of the season right now. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
And it's right at the end. Why is that the case?
We looked better with Emerson Royale and Ben Davis at centre back.
That's what I was saying yesterday. We looked a lot better in that 5-game period. We lost 5 in a row or whatever it was. We looked a lot better than we do now.
Yeah.
Right now is our worst period of the season, and there's not really a justification for it.
Yeah, totally agree. So, I mean, like, when you want to talk about Ange, when you want to talk about the future of that, there's a lot of arguments both ways and valid arguments both ways.
I don't think there's any valid arguments to sack him.
Not to sack him, but to see, like, why people are losing faith in Ange.
No, I would say there's a few valid reasons not to be entirely convinced. I agree with that. But I don't want that to seep into the board though.
Yeah.
Because if it does, all of a sudden they're gonna, not be convinced to back him. And
Pochettino will be available in the summer.
Not necessarily. not after last night.
Do you reckon there's any hint of Daniel Levy if Chelsea sacked Pochettino? It's like, Poch is back in the summer because he's gone for him before.
Well, he could have had him.
He could have had him. Yeah, it's true. He could have had him.
He could have had him. He chose Ange over him.
Yeah, that's also true. But then there was that kind of time where he was desperate to go get him, like before we got Conte. Was it before we got Conte?
Before we got Nuno.
Before we got Nuno.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, when your choice is Nuno, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. BLTHFC saying the only way these players can make up for that shit show is by losing to City. Nothing less, nothing more.
100%. Put the kids out.
I think that's the only game left I'm going to this season.
That's it.
Yeah. But the thing is, if he would have started to play the kids from nowish, it can be kind of excusable. But I think if he only plays the kids against Man City, then that'll be shown as kind of match fixing, and we'll probably get in trouble as a club. So we need to start now.
Start playing the kids now. Exactly. Prepare.
But that is the way the internet did react to the 2-0 loss against Chelsea. Let us know your thoughts on all those aspects in the comment section below.